Back in 1979, when I'm still a kid, okay, lots of buildings in Singapore have been demolished. A lot of buildings demolished, and a lot of beautiful Peranakan towns was demolished too, and they just chunk it away and they throw it. At that time, I'm just about 18, 19 years old. Just feel that need to collect something, for else like stamps, okay, you need to use money to buy. Coins, you need to use money to buy. Only the tiles is people abandoned it, and we just couldn't pick it up. Luckily at the time, I do have few friends. They are interested with the same interest with me. They are same interest. So we try to compete each other. Try to go to all places to collect tiles. See who got more. Since that is my schoolmate, the same school but we are in different classes. Okay, then we start to collect. We went to a lot of places such as Joo Chiat, Katongs, downtown area, Jalan Besar, those areas. And when look at it at the time, we saw the buildings is demolished. We talked to the contractors. Okay, and then after we talk to the contractors, I'll buy him coffee, buy him some food, and then whatever is on they throw it away. We just from there we pick it up. So after picking up after a while, okay, I approximately start with about 100 or 200 pieces, but with all the what they call it, with all the cement behind the tiles.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask.
The cement behind.
Yeah. Hard to take it out?
Yeah, it is not easy to take it out. It's not easy to take it out, all the cements. And at times, we do not have a grinder, so we use scissor. So every night in the night, we start to knock piece by piece, knock it out. This one. This what? Like a wall. Okay? Start, eh? Okay, this is like a wall. So they throw it, we're gonna pick it out. It's so thick with the whole wall. So when we look at it, oh shit, we don't have a grinder. So we don't have a grinder, so we use scissors to chisel off, piece by piece. Use scissors to cut it off. And sometimes we come with the cement, and you really need to be there every day. And to remove this one, sometimes you hit too hard, the tile's broken, the bricks, well, so sad. And after a certain year, okay, I lost contact with my friends, my collector friends, and my schoolmate. Then once a while, I still collect, and that time we collect not because sometimes it's because of you collect stamps, money, stamps and this what I call it, coins. You need to pay, but this one you don't pay. But we, as a Peranakans, okay, and this kind of tiles in Singapore we call it Peranakan tiles, and I just feel it's a waste to throw it. So I start to collect piece by piece, until I met my friends. And after that, after a certain year, I met him back approximately about 8 years back. 7 or 8 years back, I met him. And then I just say, hey, you got any tiles available? Yeah, he got about a few hundreds. I got a few hundreds. Wow, that is a long friendship. And then it's a friendship. And then so long we meet each other, we talk. So at the time, I just feel like, okay, why don't we create a business opportunity? Because nowadays everybody are looking at Peranakan tiles. Everybody is searching for Peranakan tiles. Therefore, okay, you bring yours and I bring mine together, and then we create this company.
When was
and
this?
This was approximately about 7-8 years ago. Then, after that, we acquire more. At the time we start with approximately a few hundred pieces. Now we got approximately 20,000 pieces of tiles. So within the last few years, we try to search for tiles, the whole Singapore buildings, and then some antique shops, collectors. We try to get all of the tiles into here, so into these shops, and then after that, we displayed for those. Actually, it's also good for the next generation knowledge because this kind of tiles is all more than 100 years. It's already 100 years and above. So it is a, what do you call it? It is a history to Singapore. Actually, at the beginning, we do not know anything about the tiles. We just know that they are beautiful. It's collector items. That's it. We don't go to studies. We don't go to archive. We don't go to check. But about 8-9 years back, I start to check what is the background of the tiles, and we discovered the first tiles was in Singapore was in 1891. Okay, from the newspaper cutting. So we cut that up, and we found somebody imported this tile to Singapore. And at that time, this kind of tiles is called tiles, wall tiles, or glazed tiles. Okay, and they don't, at that time, it's called wall tiles or glazed tiles. Then, so we back in the early 1900s. These tiles are so expensive. It's very expensive. And look at the price listed there. Okay, set an example. A tomb grave, okay, cost about $15. That was in 1922, $15. And this small piece of tiles cost 12.5 cents a piece. That means it's equivalent to 120 tiles to equal to one tomb. So 12.5 cents multiplied by 120 pieces, and you get $15. So with 120 pieces of tiles, you can get a plot of land for buried. That is a lot of money at that time. Well, at the time, then a lot of what they call it, in the early part of Singapore, most of the people are from, all the business traders most of them are from Malacca. So they are quite wealthy, they are rich. So that's how I mentioned the name is called decorative tiles or glazed tiles. But in the newspaper cutting, we found the words decorative or tiles or wall tiles. There is nothing such as Peranakan tiles, nothing. Okay, so at the time the Malaccans or the Baba and Nyonya came to Singapore. The trader came to Singapore. They tried to build business, to seek their fortunes. So all their the houses, all the Peranakan houses, or those shop houses, old houses, they are wealthy family, or wealthy Babas, or wealthy Chinese immigrants after they get the money. So they start to take this decorative tile to decorate the house. So at the times, they call it decorative tiles, but most of the people in the old days are from China, the immigrants from China. They can't, most of them, I can put it this way, most of them are from Hokkien. So since the house is at the Baba or Nyonya house, so they start to call it, this one is a Nyonya house. So they use Mandarin, it's called Nyonya, they use Hokkien to use it, it's called Nyonya Zeng. Nyonya Zeng, in my book they already indicate Nyonya Zeng. So they use Hokkien, this is a language called Hokkien. Nyonya Zeng, Nyonya Zeng, Nyonya Zeng. Until all the while been calling Nyonya Zeng till I think the late 70s or early 80s. Well, Singapore government, okay, want to unify this. I don't know if I call it unified or not. They start to call it Peranakan. We are called Baba. I'm a Baba, a female. We call a Nyonya. But we are categorized until Peranakan. Peranakan. So in Peranakan, we got Jawi Peranakans, we got Chiti Peranakans, and we got Baba Peranakan. So everybody fall under the category of Peranakans. So at that time onwards, 70s or 80s, early 80s, so everybody start to call it, they changed the name from Nyonya Zeng to Peranakan tiles in English.
Zeng means
Zeng tiles, yeah, correct. In Mandarin. So when about 10 or 15 years ago, when I went overseas, I go to libraries, in England, in Europe, I went to the libraries, I go to the bookshops and buy all related house books. So this is all my house book here,
I see.
all over the world, okay, which manufacture tiles. So from there, we learn the history, the background of each individual tiles, even the designer.
I see.
Yeah, took a while to collect those books. In the old days, okay, in Italy, and Spain, they use the word Majolica, because there's an island called Mallorca in the center of Italy and Spain. Spain is the what they call it, the early stage in 1400s, 14 or 1500s. So from all the books here, I get informations. Everybody have a different view, but I have my own view. So they transferred this. Actually, this kind of tiles is from Iraq or Tower of Babylon. So they have those this art, Muslim art. They moved from Iraq to, we call it Iraq now, okay, Iraq to Spain, the south of Spain, such as the what they call it, Granada, the town Granada, Sevilla, and Malacca. So all the craftsmen in this on the 14th or 15th century, they start to do this calligraphy tiles. Mostly are Muslim. We all call it Muslim tiles. Then from there, some of the craftsmen, they moved to Italy. So they moved there. They start to call the tiles to become Majolica tiles, because they take the island of Mallorca. So they use, because Mallorca is an export port. It's a port. So PRT port. So everything shipped out from there. In the 14th, 15th centuries. So they moved to, from there, they moved to Italy, Mallorca. And then from the art movement. So the art movement at that time, we call, in the 16th century, is art and craft. So they moved to Italy. In Italy, there are few old buildings. There are few old buildings at Florence. There are few buildings, big buildings in Florence. So after in Florence, and then after years, 10, 20, 30, 100 years, they move from Italy up. They up to where? They up to Belgium. They up to Dutch. They Dutch to Holland. They went to Holland, they went to Belgium. So start from there. And then from Belgium, they go to England. That is about late 1800, middle of 1800s, 1850. So 1850s, England, they invented a type of glaze we call thin glaze, or they call it Majolica, M-A-J-O-L-I-C-A, Majolica, and the Majolica, because of the I of different, M-A-I, Majolica in Italy. So they moved to this North Europe. Then British invented the thin glaze, or they call it Majolica tiles. But actual fact, Majolica is equivalent to tin, same as tin. So they start to produce the tiles. Wow, it's booming from 1850 onwards. So the person who created is Minton's company. So they bought the technology from they took the technology from a creator, inventor called Pashos. Yeah. So they start to produce. In 1870s become boom in the whole Europe. So at that times, in Dutch, so they moved to Delft town. There's a town called Delft. So they call it Delft tiles. But in England, we call it British Delft tiles. They are different.
How do you spell that?
D-E-L-F-T, Delft. D-E-L-F-T, the white and blue color Delft. D-E-L-F-T, Delft. Okay, so they have the Delft tiles. So there's in Holland, they're white, blue and white and blue tiles. And back in England and Belgium, they start to follow those white and black, white and blue, blue and white. Okay, then after 10 or 20 years later, a lot of art came in. At that time, we are very popular in Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau is abstract. So a lot of this, what they call designer, craftsmen, so they create their art into the tiles. So the movement came in, Art Nouveau movement came in. At that time, we have William de Morgan, very popular designer. His tiles is all hand-painted tiles, all are no machines. He don't like machines. So Minton's company, after that, they got their own manufacturer, they start to produce. So in 1891, they came to Singapore. They came to Singapore. 1891. So that time is 1870s, 1891. I can figure out, but in Singapore, all the tiles, most of them are from England, which are those 10, 20 years, they already get sick of the design. So they move out to Southeast Asia. After this thing come in, okay, until 1935, they discovered, they have, the business is good. Whole world create the business. So Japan still to copy. Japan get the design and fabricate the same things and sell in the Southeast Asia because the freight are cheaper. But in 1935, they discovered this kind of thin glaze consists of lead, and lead is a toxic. Therefore, in 1935, everybody stopped productions. And at the same time, world depressions. In 1937, the tiles market drops because in the old days, this is all luxury items I ever mentioned. It's rich people items. So the drops. The value of everything drops because then there is depression, and after depression is World War II, and totally whole world stop productions. And later in 1945, they start back again, and they start from Japan. They no more using thin glaze, so they start to use pigment glaze. Pigment is a chemical glaze. Pigment, pigment glaze. Pigment. Pigment, yeah. So now the pigment, so all the pigment glaze, which until today. And in the old days, the production is by hand. It's piece by piece. Piece by piece. So in the old days, we have Art Nouveau, the art, we have Art Nouveau, we have tube liner, using hand, tube liner, we got transfer printing. This is a three popular tiles finishing. Okay, for example, this is a dust press tiles. A dust press. So you use the machine to press the tiles, dust press. Okay, because the tiles itself, when it's is soft. After dust press, we got this one we call relief molded. So we have two molds. Press it, and it's protrude out. Very protrude. Okay, and transfer printing. This is transfer printing. You transfer into the paper, and then press it, and remove the paper. The paint will go into it. And another one will be, that one will be tube liner. Oh, sorry, this one got another one. This is tube line. So when you look at the two round piece, although they look alike, but they are not. It's all hand. Yeah, all hand paint, hand drawn. So in the old days, a lot of manpower require a lot of manpower to do this kind of tiles. This is part of the expensive item because it's handmade. Okay. And then after in the late 1910, Japan started to produce, and a lot of this because of the Japan are smart. Because look at the British tiles, all are Art Nouveau design. But for Japanese tiles, because Japanese are smart, either they get the craftsmen from Southeast Asia, or they create their own design to suit the local needs. So like in local here in Southeast Asia, we Peranakan, we like fruits, grapes, pomegranate, this kind of picture. As this is very Art Nouveau. When you look at it, you know it's British or Belgium. When you look at this, it's Chinese. This is very Chinese look.
Yeah.
So Japanese start to produce those replicas, those design to suit the local market. Same as in India. So they create the Indian tiles. So they sell it to India. This time we mentioned about the movement from Art Nouveau movement. Okay, Art Nouveau is something like Picasso's era. They totally stopped in 1920 to 1930s. Then Art Deco came in. Art Deco came in.
Yeah.
Art Deco, because they disagree with all the what they call it, those imagination items. So when you look at the tiles itself, when you look at the tiles, look at the design, you know this design. You don't know what is this? This is Art Nouveau. When you look at it, a fixed design, this will be the Art Deco. So from the year, this should be 1900 to 1910, or maybe 1895.
Yeah.
Okay, but this one will be 1910, 1920s, because it's individual pieces.
Okay.
So from the art movement, so the design are different. This is actually I myself, we know in Europe, a lot of auctions, and the price are crazy, are too high. $300 a piece, $400 a piece. This I discovered many years ago. At that time, I haven't sold anything yet. I just keep it. Just keep it. Until the auction in 2002. They have an auction in America. So I get my friend was there. He bought me the book. You see, Victorians, England, Majolica, Art House Auction. That was in 2002. That means 14 years ago. 14 years ago. So we get an example. So when I have the book, I feel about, oh, most of the tiles I have, like instant this one. This is a piece, but I have a whole panel. Look at this. This tiles itself costs you approximately about $500 US. And this is New York. 500 US a piece. So at that time we know, shit, there's a value. But at that time, in Singapore, nobody interested with the tiles. No. Nobody knows about the market. So we just, by the time I have my jobs, I just as a collector, I just keep on starting to collect. Until approximately about 5 years ago. After 5 years ago, I get my friend to join me. Then we start to have a company. So we are so lucky. In Singapore movie, they have a called Little Nyonya. There's one movie, Little Nyonya. From there, our tiles business, boom, boom. So we are lucky, very lucky, because of the movies. Make everybody of Singapore knows about the tiles. But their mindset, most of the people.
One movie or?
One movie, one series movie, Little Nyonya. Yeah, backgrounds. They talk about the what do you call it? They don't call it Peranakans. They call it Nyonya, Little Nyonya. So they talk about the culture, the love stories. Very good movies about I don't know how many chapters, but it's a long movie. I think about 20-30 chapters maybe. Yeah, I'm not too sure. And then the movie, after the movies, we have this. So people start to bring back, because our Baba and culture is actually already dead after World War II. You know, I repeat, in the old days, all are wealthy family, but all the wealth gone in World War II. So the culture slowly go down until 70s, 80s. Nobody knows. We just know Baba, but nobody really paid attention with this culture. So after this movie, boom, up. So we also tech.
The movie was in 2002?
2009.
2009. Oh, so not so
Not long ago, 5-6 years ago, yeah. 2009. Little Nyonya. Movie done by the Singapore Media Corps, Singapore Media Corps station. So after the movie, so So everybody, wow. At that time, we get the tiles are free. Zero. When we go to Europe, one tiles costs 80, hundreds, but all are dirty, bag or dirty. So we start to, in the old days, we just chisel off, just put it that way.
How long does it take to clear off? For
60
example,
days.
60 days?
60 days. It's not easy. And I got nobody to teach me. I learned everything by myself. You chisel, and then my friend told me use this chemical, use that chemical. Shit, we tried, nothing. So after a try and error for the last maybe 1 or 2 years, we discovered a type of the way of cleaning it. Actually, it's very simple. We just use the ultrasound. Ultrasound.
How?
Get a towel, soak into the water, let the sound hit up the dirt.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you discover that?
Because somebody told me that, oh, you try, because we try a lot of chemicals and it don't works. And some of my friends said, you can try the ultrasound. And sometimes we also use a bit of chemical, a bit of acid, But I checked with some friends, they told me that acid will damage the body of the tiles. So we don't use that anymore.
One question, the prices of these rising or that
Every day rising.
every day?
Every day rising. If you go to internet or eBay, let's check. You can check the price, thousands, hundreds, 700, 600. And for us here, because in Singapore the market are different compared to Europe market. We sell a lot to Europe, but in Singapore price. So we are quite okay.
I see.
Not that expensive and affordable. And my customers, majority are Baba and Nyonya. About 60% are Baba and Nyonya.
Foreigners buy or no?
Yes. Those people who knows, they come here, they buy.
I see a lot of foreigners.
They don't buy one piece, they don't buy two piece, they buy 10, 20, 30, 50. So I need to ship out for them. We ship by DHL to them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We send to Europe, we send to England, we send to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, even Uruguay we send.
But no,
Bukit Brown is a Chinese municipal cemetery. Anybody can put it in. But in the old days, in 1920s, 1930s, because if your last name is Ong, so you go to the Ong clan cemetery. If your last name is Tan, you go to Tan cemetery. There are few types. And if you are a Hokkien, you go to Hokkien cemetery. If you are Teochew, you go to Teochew cemetery. You are Malay, you go to Malay cemetery. But in Bukit Brown, it's a public cemetery. So everybody go into that. And in Bukit Brown, there approximately have 200 over 1,000 tiles. Okay. But yesterday I brought you there because when you look at the tiles, there is tiles there. And 80%, I dare to say that the deceased are Baba or Nyonya. Because we have the culture of afterlife. Okay, we bring our things at home to decorate. Because in the old days, they like to decorate their house, right, with the Peranakan tiles, the tiles. And then when they die, they also want to decorate the tiles, the tombs, same as their house. So yesterday you see the tombstone, and beside, don't you think this is a door? This is 2 windows. It's actually the same. And those in Bukit Brown, 80% are considered Baba or Nyonya in Bukit Brown. But those without the tiles, 80% they are not Baba or Peranakan, Baba or Nyonya. But the 20% with tiles are maybe Chinese, wealthy family, rich family. Okay, last year I was invited to UNESCO Intangible Heritage meeting in Paris. So no, not in Paris, in Aix-en-Provence, in the south of France. So we gather American professor, British professor, German professor, Spain professor, everybody are professor. So we gather all the information. We compile a report, submit to UNESCO. So hopefully in the near future, hopefully UNESCO can recognize it as an intangible heritage. So after that, everybody start to protect the house because the colors so beautiful and you can't find anymore.